This week's show, we're talking about some fitness myths. And before I get into talking about a few of these in detail, I'm just going to go over a couple of them really quick that I've mentioned in previous episodes of the podcast, because I don't want people to think afterwards, oh, he didn't mention this or he didn't mention this, and Sean, how come he didn't mention this one? This is a big one. It's because I just want to keep repeating myself over and over again. But I do want to acknowledge them, so I'm going to acknowledge a couple of them really quick, and then we're going to move on to the bulk of this episode. So the first one is talking about sweat. I talked about this last week. Sweat is fat crying and all that. And you know what? I don't really have a big issue with this because while it's not technically true in the slightest, and it has nothing to do with fat loss, it's like one of those cool little quote things or things that people put up on their Facebook or Instagram pages or tweets or whatever it is. I worked hard and sweat is making the fat cry, and the other one was I'm wearing black because I'm going to the funeral of my fat, or whatever it is. Okay, that one's a little bit different. But sweat, whether you sweat more is not whether you're working harder necessarily. It could be just hotter. And if it's hotter in the gym, you're going to sweat more. There's no two ways about it. If you're going for a run on a cold day, it's going to take a lot longer. It's your body's way of regulating your temperature, your body temperature. So sometimes you're going to sweat more than others, and it can all come down to stress levels, how much hydration levels as well. So it doesn't necessarily mean when you're sweating you're out of shape. It's a completely different thing. There's not much correlation between the two, with the exception of if you work out, you may or may not sweat, but don't judge the quality and your intensity workout by how much you sweat. Another one, which I'm sure you guys are sick to death of hearing about, but I have to mention it really, really quick, and that is that you can't target specific areas for burning fat. So you can't say, I'm going to do a great leg workout today because I've got a lot of fat stores in my thighs and I want to burn the fat off my thighs. Not how it works. You're burning calories, you're burning overall body fat percentage, but you're not going to burn it just on your thighs, pretty much. We all have different areas in the body where we hold on to fat, and it's the last part to go. For someone's our legs, someone's the backside, someone's our stomach, and you can't just target those areas for that body fat to go. I touched on this one before, stretching before you work out. When I did mention it, it was like you got a big warm-up done, and then after you did your warm-up and you're ready for your workout, then you slowed everything down for 5-10 minutes and start doing some stretching. A lot of classes, and even when I was back in the old college days, back a good 10 years ago, used to teach that where you do your big warm-up, pretty much in aerobic classes. Actually, we had to do aerobics. Not my favorite type of class to teach, but you do your big 10 minutes, and then after 10 minutes of your warm-up, you'd have to slow it down for 5 minutes just when you're ready for the workout to actually begin and hit the harder exercises. They brought it back 5 minutes of stretching, and then you had to build back up again when you're really just wasting time. But that doesn't mean in the warm-up you can do a couple of different stretches as you build up and you make the exercise a little bit harder. And the exercise is always obviously depending on the type of workout you're doing. So you're incorporating, like if there's a leg day, you're incorporating some squats. So you might finish with just a couple of squat jumps, for example. But that doesn't mean you can't do a couple of quad and hamstring stretches. 8 to 10 seconds, easing into it. It's just whatever if you feel good doing those stretches in the warm-up, by all means do them. But I wouldn't stretch cold for 5-10 minutes at the very start without doing a little bit of movement, and I wouldn't do it at the end of a warm-up before I went into the workout from there. Our next one is no pain, no gain. Stupid, 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 stupid. Yes, you should be somewhat out of your comfort zone when you train, when you do a workout. It shouldn't be easy. So in every workout, you're just going through emotions. You're not getting a lot of it. But actual pain, physical pain, and you're still doing the exercise, you're asking for trouble. If you've got physical pain, muscle pain when you're doing, I'm not talking about soreness here, which we'll get to in a second. I'm not talking about muscle soreness. Actual pain while doing an exercise, that means there's something wrong. Don't keep doing an exercise if there's something wrong. Maybe switch up the exercise. There's a million and one different exercises you could do, even on a particular muscle group. maybe switching up will help you out. But if it's really bad pain, stop, get it checked out. No pain, no gain. It just means sometimes there are times when you should not be training too hard. There are times we have to skip a workout. It's not, hashtag beast mode, not this kind of crap. No pain, no gain is that's definitely one of those myths. And speaking of pain and muscle soreness, pain after workout means you've worked hard. That's also a huge one. And I get it, because sometimes I do fall for it myself. You've had a particularly hard leg day and you're feeling it in the legs the next day, like, oh, I got it last night. That was a tough session. But not every session has to have pain afterwards, and not every session that doesn't have pain means that it's a bad one. You go more by your numbers in the gym. How did you feel afterwards? Your personal best. Did you push towards your overall goal? Were you lifting less than you were the previous week, or maybe not as many reps or more reps? If there's a consistency, or you're getting a little bit better, and you can't, like I said last week, you can't get better with each and every workout, but if you're getting a little bit better overall, that means it was a good workout. Whereas if there's pain, doesn't necessarily mean you had the best workout in the world. So, not a thing. If you missed a week, or not a week, if you missed a month of sessions and you go back to the gym and you feel zero pain, you probably didn't push yourself at all. But definitely pull back if you missed out on a month or so. This is one I've touched on a lot, so I'm going to go through it really, really quickly. Lifting heavy weight, meaning you bulk up. No, not true. That depends on calories, and if you're a woman and you think lifting heavy, you're going to bulk up, you haven't listened to any of these podcast episodes, you definitely won't. There's a 100% chance you won't. Yes, you can possibly bulk up, but you need a lot more calories than what you're probably consuming to bulk up to do that. And then, testosterone and stuff like that comes into it as well. The next one, really quick before we get started on the main ones, and that is that cardio is the best method for reducing body fat. And this happens all the time. I see all the time people in the gym, they're struggling to hit their target, and there could be a million one different reasons, but they're struggling to hit their target, and they're like, I need to do more running. Why? And they're like, well, more running, more cardio, drop body fat. No. With that, you'll probably, what I assume has happened there is, compared to lifting weights where you do like X amount of reps, you get a bit of break, the cardio is continuous, and you'll probably burn more calories over that session, but that's it then. Whereas with the resistance training, you need to recover a lot more because the weight you're lifting, the muscle fibers you're damaging, all that rest, and over that rebuilding process, that's kicking in your metabolism. Your resting metabolism is going up with resistance training, whereas cardio, not as much, if at all. And you kind of stop burning calories as soon as the workout is finished there. So it's not to say that don't take the message away from this and not do cardio to burn body fat, but it's not the only thing to burning body fat, and it's probably not the best thing for burning body fat. So, but having a mix of cardio and resistance training is good. Okay, so on to other fitness myths we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about the anabolic window, and with that, it's basically 30 minutes after you train to get protein into you. If you don't get protein into you in 30 minutes, it's not going to be, you're going to lose out on all the potential gains you got from the gym. Because, like I just said a second ago, when you work out, you need protein. You're breaking down your muscle tissue. You need protein for repair. That's the proteins, the building blocks for repairing our muscles. So if you haven't got protein within the first 30 minutes, there's no repair going on, right? Wrong. Basically, the way you look at calories and getting protein and carbs and everything else is look at it more so as a 24-hour window, as compared to needing it right now. It goes back to, you don't necessarily need 6 meals a day. You can get 3 bigger meals, and over those 24 hours, you're going to be all right. If the calorie total is the exact same over 24 hours with 3 big meals and 6 small meals, there's really little to no difference there with that. So you don't necessarily need a protein shake straight away to be totally honest with you, if I know I'm not going to eat for another hour or two, or if I can't get back to the house, cook something up, yes, I will have a protein shake. Supplements aren't necessarily a bad thing as long as they're not replacing food. You can have them in conjunction with having your 3 meals. You're having a bit of protein supplements to get by, but they're not a superpower. They're not like another myth I'm going to jump straight into right now is like protein shakes will make you bulky. They won't. A lot of them only have like 100 or 200 calories in them, something very, very small for a scoop protein. You'll probably get more out of a protein bar, and I'll get back into that in 1 second. Excuse me. I'll probably forget to edit that part out. But what I was saying now with protein shakes is they're good for getting some protein in. They're good for keeping us ticking over for the next meal, but they're not 100% necessary. If you find with your schedule that you're not eating for another two hours or so after the gym for whatever reason, and it could be that you're doing morning workouts and after workout you need to get something into you quick before you travel into work and you haven't got time to sit down and get proper food, protein shake is not the worst thing in the world. Neither is a protein bar, but a protein bar doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy. It just because it says protein on it, and you know a lot of companies are doing this now. They're whacking the big protein sign on the food, and it's like, oh, it's healthier because it's protein. Not necessarily true. Same with gluten free. Just because it says gluten free on it, it doesn't mean it's true. It might even have more calories. For example, some gluten free muffins have more calories than the regular ones because they have to replace it with something. If you've got a gluten tolerance, they're great for you. If not, maybe not the best in the world. Not that a muffin is healthy, but you get where I'm going with that. So protein bars are not healthier than regular bars that have more protein. Most of the time. To basically sum up protein bars, protein shakes, the whole anabolic window, know that what you eat over an entire 24-hour window counts. If you need to get more protein in, maybe have a slightly bigger meal before you work out. Or have a meal before you work out so you have that protein in you and a bit of energy in you, depends on what else is in the meal, but it's over the 24-hour day rather than, you know, that 30 minutes after the workout. Supplements, bars, shakes, not necessarily a bad thing as long as you're using them in moderation with your nutrition, with your diet, whatever that diet may be. On to the next one, and that is one that I have heard for years and years and years, and that's that knees shouldn't go over your toes with a squat. Because I assume they're thinking that knee, if you your knees went over your toes, there's too much stress on your knees. And the counter thing that you hear all the time is ass to grass when it comes to doing squats. That if your bum's not right down to the ground, then the squat doesn't count. But if you were to get your backside right down to the ground with the mobility, especially if you've got a barbell on your back, your knees are going over your toes. So one of them has to be wrong, right? What if both of them are wrong? Because I do believe they are. And here's why. To get that low in a squat, a lot of people can't physically do it. So basically, if they try to get their hips down low, something's going to happen. Something's going to give. Their back might round forward. Their knees might start buckling. There's a load of their heels might come up off the ground. There's a load of things that are going to stop them getting their hips or their backside right down to the ground. And if you force that and then put weight on when you can't do the squat right, and you're like, no, you got to get, ass to grass and start saying all this BS, you're going to have an injury there. Something wrong is going to happen over time if you start putting more and more weight with a bad foundation, bad mechanics of a squat, just because, some guy said you had to have your backside right down to the ground. Now, I would probably go as low as you can. And once you can't go any lower, depending how low your squat is, that'll depend on when you add weight. I mean, if you're only going to go a little bit down and back up, I probably wouldn't put weight on. I'll get you used to more mobility drills, get you lower into the squat and see what's going on there. Now, if you get down to a roughly parallel, your knees might go above your toes. That's not a bad thing. It just, you need that mobility. You need that ankle mobility to get down that low. So you're not going to do damage to your knees. But I'm getting very technical at this one, so I'm going to try and sum it up really quickly. Before you go parallel with the squat, there is more stress on your knees anyway. But that doesn't mean that it's necessarily a bad thing. To go back to what I was talking about earlier, if there's pain, when you do a squat, then that's a bad thing. That overrides any rule. So, but in most cases, depending on the person, you should be able to squat, and the lower you get, the more likelihood it is your knees going to go over the toes. A great way of doing squats is doing box squats. So you're squatting to a box, putting half your body weight on the box and coming right back up from there. When you're doing that, you're not putting as much stress on the knees because you're kind of getting that's a little bit of a stop from the resistance. Instead of squatting down, momentum, bring yourself right back up, especially if you're not parallel. There might be some stress in the knees, only when you're really adding weight here. But with the box squat, you can kind of pause for a little bit, right back up, and just slowly add more weight onto it, and slowly lowering the height of the box to get lower. So in conclusion on that one, a lot of people cannot go ass to grass. So stop telling everyone to go ass to grass. See what's happening when you squat. If your back starts bending or your knees start buckling, you've gone too low, and just forget about knees going over the toes. It's not a thing. Unless there's pain. And if there's pain, you may not want to do squats at all. You may need to change up your exercises from there, and probably get checked out if you have knee pain doing a regular squat. Our next fitness myth is doing cardio first before weight training. On this one, I can give and take it, but the general rule has always been get your cardio done first and then your weight training. I find that if you do a full warm-up that involves exercise you're going to be doing in your workout, for example, different variations of squats, lunges, push-ups, or whatever it is, and then you're doing a full body workout, I would rather after that warm-up you went straight into doing your weight training and then spent the last 30 minutes doing cardio or whatever it is. But it really depends on your goals there. What's the overall main focus? If you're training for like a marathon or a long distance run, you may want to do your cardio on separate days to your weight training. If you're just looking for overall fitness, I'd probably leave the cardio to the end and then push it a little bit more, but it's not going to make a difference. The bottom line on that one, you can argue both ways on what really comes first between cardio and weight training. It's more so what's going to get you through the front door of the gym and get that workout in. If you dread the cardio, although even still, if you dread the cardio, you might want to do it first, get it out of the way, or you might want to leave it to the end and do the exercises that you like doing first, the weight training. The next one, really quick, I actually did talk about this one before, and that is not to work out when you're feeling sick. That depends. I mean, the general rule of thumb on that one is if you've got symptoms above the neck, take a break. If you've got symptoms below the neck, you might be able to get through it. But there's no one or the other on that one. It really kind of is up to yourself and how you're feeling. There are some days when you might be feeling the best in the world, but you just have to power through it and recognize you're not going to get the best workout in the world, but you're going to build consistency to stay on track with your training. And you may have to change up your routine, do something a little bit different, but even just mentally getting to the gym, moving around, you might actually feel a little bit better. Once again, that completely depends on what symptoms you have. Another one is running is better than walking. And in theory, that sounds obviously true. If you're running, you're going to be using more energy. You're going to burn more calories. So, for example, if someone ran 5 miles and someone walked 5 miles, who's going to burn more calories? That is a trick question. That's kind of like what weighs more, a ton of feathers or a ton of bricks. They're both the same. While you might think that it's obviously running because you're working harder, you're going to be finished your 5 miles a lot quicker when you're running and then you're done. Whereas the walking is going to take you a lot longer. You're still moving. It'll probably be roughly the same. And that I found that hard to believe until I look back on my... I hate bringing this up. It's like, oh, you brought up the marathon again. But when I did the marathon back, that really, really awful one back in 2017 where I had to walk a fair bit of it. And when I did it this year, when I look back on the Nike Run app, and not that the calories are accurate in that app like we talked about before, but both of them had roughly the same number. I think it was within 100 calories, which is not 100 or 200 calories, which is not bad considering it was like 3,800 calories for one and 3,600 for the other. Even though one took significantly longer, I'm talking about well over an hour longer than the other marathon, yet the calories burnt were the exact same. And that is, it depends on that. Basically, running is not necessarily better than walking, and it completely depends on the individual. For some people, going out for a 20-minute walk, especially outdoors in nature as opposed to on a treadmill, and can help lower their stress levels, and that could be the goal. They could have had a HIIT session and a big resistance training session the day before, and they've had a rough day, just want to lower stress levels. They go out for a nice calming walk, stress levels get right back down, and that's a lot better than push themselves going for a run for whatever reason. It really does depend on the person there, but one is not always better than the other, unless you're trying to run a 10k or something. Like the goal is running, then you need to start running more. Okay, I'm about to wrap this up really quick, but we've got a couple of more that I want to get through. One of them being that deadlifts are bad for your back. Now, the caveat to this one is I don't do deadlifts because I have problems with my back. And this goes with barbell squats are bad for your back. Once again, I don't do barbell squats personally right now because they're bad. They're not because they're bad for my back, but the reason is I'd have issues with my mobility. If you can sort out your mobility issues, and before that Smart Alex says it, I am working on that. If you're mobile enough and you're able to do it with the best technique possible, deadlifts and barbell squats are not bad if you build up to them and then perform with the right technique. Now, you'll probably hear about like powerlifters that like have destroyed their backs or their hips or their knees, whatever, doing squats and deadlifts. And yeah, that's a big extreme because they're lifting huge amount of weights and their form needs to be, 100% spot on, or something bad can and will happen. But if you're not squatting 300-400 kilo and your squats are like 90-95% spot on in technique, you might get away with it, but make sure your form is as close to that 100% as you can when doing them. So I wouldn't sum up deadlifts and squats are bad for everyone. Some people should not do them. They should not be doing deadlifts and squats. They should be regressing and doing different exercises instead. And some people are able to do them. It does depend on the person. I'm going to skip the next one. Fitness alone will help you lose weight. I think I kind of summed that up earlier. Basically, calories. It comes down to calories. If you do a workout, you might burn 300-400 calories. If you have 2 chocolate bars, you're gonna eat 300-400 calories. So if you can't outtrain a bad diet, pretty much is on that one. I'm gonna move on to the last one, which kind of contradicts a lot of stuff I've probably said before. And the myth would be that free weights are better than machines. Yep, I got the order on that one. A lot of people will say free weights are better than machines, and to sum this one up, I'll go back to what I've said the last 2 or 3 different myths I've been talking about, and that is, it really does depend on the person. For example, some people shouldn't be barbell squatting. Some people might have to do a leg press on the machine. That is a better exercise for them than doing a barbell squat poorly and injuring themselves, whereas they're probably safer doing it on a leg press. I know there's times where I'm just completely wrecked, and like I said, maybe not feeling 100%, and I know I'm not going to be doing dumbbell presses heavy for whatever reason, but if I ease into it, doing a chest press of the machine, I might feel a lot better. I might feel better doing that, and I might go on dumbbells, or I might just say, you know what, I'm going to use a chest press and just get through this workout. There's times when machines come into play, times there's free weights come into play, times there's cable machines come into play. That could be better depending what the overall goal is than free weights. For example, if I want to work my back muscles, you might say, Seán, well, the best exercise to work your back muscles is pull-ups. I might not be able to do a pull-up. So, and there I go, trying to jump up, and trying to pull myself up doing a pull-up and I can't do it. Is that really the best exercise? No, because I can't do the damn thing. So I have to do something like a lat pull down instead, which is a lot better exercise, even though it's a machine, than free weights. It depends on the situation what the best exercise is, whether it's free weights, machine weights, or with cable machines. Sometimes you can get you're always getting that constant tension throughout the motion. For example, if you're doing curls on the cable machine, probably the easiest example, you're always getting the same tension throughout the lift. Whereas on weights, it's different with gravity. Basically, if you hold a weight out in front of you, it's going to have a different resistance level than you do if you bring it in. Whereas it's a bit more constant on a cable machine. So I mean, there's so many different exercises that may be better on machines, cable machines, on free weights. It really does depend on the person and their goals. So to wrap up all these fitness myths, it really does depend on the individual in most cases, except on those few like no pain, no gain, where you just need to. I mean, I don't even quote that. Don't do it. Don't hashtag it. Don't do it. It's stupid. I look back now, one of my old Instagram posts, I probably have hashtag no pain, no gain. Please don't look back on that. But they're all individual. There's always different reasons for doing different exercises. There's no one exact set method. There's no one exact way to squat. Depending, everyone's different on that one. And just touching the squat one again, everyone's squat looks a little bit different as well, and that comes from like different types of bones, the way the bone goes into the socket, and we have different levers in that one, so everyone's squat will look a little bit different. As long as you can do it safely, and as long as there's some things that are the same. For example, your knees don't buckle, so there's no strength issue there. Your core is tight, and your back is. Your back is not rounding pretty much while doing the exercise. There's telltale signs like that, how much you can and should squat, but overall, how low your backside goes down to the ground is not necessarily the most important thing when doing a squat. I'm talking myself into an argument there with people. The aim should be to try and get lower to do a squat. But that doesn't mean every squat should be hips down. If you're gonna, if some issues gonna come up with that, for example, what I just said with the knees and the lower back. If you can't do that, then go down to whatever level you can, come right back up from there. But work on your mobility, so over time you're able to get lower. And the lower you go past parallel, the more you shift the stress from the knees onto the hips. And that only really matters when you start lifting heavy weight. Because the hips obviously have more muscle around it. It's going to be a stronger joint than the knee joint. So you really want to get below parallel as you start to lift heavier. So yeah, they are my fitness myths. Now that wasn't a hard video to get through now, was it? I hope you guys got some value out of the video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the Coach Seán channel, which is somewhere here. And hit that button, subscribe to the Coach Seán channel, leave a thumbs up. There should be a couple of other videos around here for you guys to check out. And that's all from me, from Coach Seán. Take care.